So I understand the temptation to apply some of the recent bull run in Bitcoin to what's happening in Venezuela. It's a massive geopolitical event. That narrative certainly holds as a long-term thesis, that proof of Bitcoin as a temporary currency to replace a destabilized currency. That's fine. I also hear the argument that we're probably going to have lower oil prices. Historically, the Fed has eased during lower oil price conditions. However, usually that's a demand issue versus this will be a supply issue. I got to be honest, though, Andrew, I don't see any direct evidence that what's happening in Venezuela is directly applicable.
Headlines love a single trigger, a dramatic geopolitical development, a clean storyline, and a chart that suddenly starts behaving. But the institutional view here is basically, do not confuse a big news cycle with the real drivers of a market turn. If we are talking about the bottom being in, the argument is that it comes from market structure rebuilding and buyers shifting, not from one headline that feels cinematic.
What we're seeing in Bitcoin, since I was on last time, the doldrums, where I gave that sort of tortured analogy of wanting to buy apples when they're cheap.
Right.
Well, apples look pretty good right now. But what we're seeing is a couple of things. We're seeing a gradual rebuilding from this liquidity event we had on October 10th. The market makers are getting more comfortable with their risk parameters, adding risk back into the market.
That is a very specific kind of confidence. He is not saying everything is perfect. He is saying the plumbing is improving. When market makers loosen up and start taking on more risk, prices often stop feeling so fragile. That is the kind of foundation you need if you want a rally that can last longer than a single trading session.
We're seeing retail sentiment catch up to what we've known on the institutional side. So retail sentiment catching up to institutional momentum. And really, we're just seeing the mean reversion trade I talked about. Bitcoin's outperforming gold this year. And together, between gold and Bitcoin, you have this wonderful store of value trade that is really, really important.
This is where the get ready to go up energy comes from, without turning into empty hype. The claim is that institutions have been leaning in the same direction while retail was sour, and now retail is finally starting to shift. When those two currents align, the price action can feel like it suddenly found its footing, even if the groundwork was being laid quietly for months.
Because if you've held gold for the last 10 years, you've done pretty well, about 260%. You held the S&P, you're up about 300. But the dollar has decreased in purchasing value by over a third. If you've held Bitcoin for that period of time, you're up over 11,000%. So that juice is really, really important if you want to beat inflation over the long term.
That comparison is the emotional core of the store of value argument. It is not just about winning a trade. It is about protecting purchasing power over time. You can hear why people who think in decades rather than weeks keep circling back, even after nasty pullbacks. In this framing, a bottom is not just a price. It is the moment the long-term crowd stops second-guessing itself.
I didn't realize it had become so prevalent in many parts. I knew El Salvador, but this gentleman made the case from Andean Capital that, you know, if you're anywhere where there is a debasement of your currency that we have never experienced in the United States, you really don't, you can't, he said, there's no dollars to be had in Venezuela. So what do you have besides that? So Bitcoin was not something people intellectually said, I'm going to start investing in. They had to do it for everyday life.
That shifts the conversation from charts to reality. In some places, Bitcoin is not a risk-on toy people argue about on TV. It is a tool people reach for because the alternatives are worse. And that matters for the big picture, because it shows how adoption can keep spreading even during stretches when investors in safer economies are busy panicking or getting bored. Now here is the tricky part. A store of value story can be true, and Bitcoin can still be hard to live with day to day. People might want it to be spendable like money, but also want it to behave calmly like money. That tension is exactly why the volatility question keeps coming up, especially as more traditional financial rails start bumping up against crypto.
But my point is, there are tens of thousands of places you can now spend Bitcoin.
Right. Is it becoming less volatile? Do you think?
Well, we know it is. I mean, it just is.
Permanently.
It's
permanently less volatile.
Look, will it? I mean, just because an asset is extremely important and widely diversified in breadth and depth of liquidity doesn't mean it doesn't stay volatile, right? Crude oil, let's all remember, crude oil went negative less than 3 years ago.
That is the mature answer. Volatility can shrink as an asset grows up, but it does not vanish just because it is mainstream. The crude oil example is a reality check because it is one of the most established markets on Earth, and it still did something that sounded impossible. So if you are waiting for Bitcoin to become safe, you might be waiting forever. If you are watching for Bitcoin to become more durable, deeper, and harder to knock over, that is a different target.
And this is sort of what's been frustrating for those of us who work on the institutional side for the last 6-7 months, has been the delta between retail negative sentiment and institutional and regulatory momentum. So we look back at last year, and I must have been on 20 shows talking about how bad Bitcoin was doing. Net down 6% for the entire year. This is an asset that's been the best performing asset by far, by a mile. It's been the GOAT 9 out of 12 years. So institutions understood that.
If you want the bottom is in case in human terms, it lives in that gap. Retail mood was negative, but he is saying the institutional machine did not interpret that as a reason to quit. They were looking at longer arcs, regulation, and strategy. That is why this feels like a catch-up moment now. Retail is not inventing a new thesis. Retail is returning to a thesis institutions never fully abandoned.
So I don't know a single institution that was putting in the work on crypto and Bitcoin last year that stopped because the asset experienced, quite frankly, typical volatility and was down 6%.
So there was nobody who paused or said to you early in the year, you know, we're thinking of going this direction, we're going to do this, and then called you up and said, you know what, we're going to wait till 26 and see where things are.
On the institutional side?
Yeah.
No. If anything, the rapidly increasing regulatory momentum moved them faster.
This is the contrast that matters most for the story. Retail tends to react to pain in real time. Institutions tend to react to incentives, infrastructure, and long-run positioning. He is basically describing a market where the deep-pocketed buyers stayed active, and now the broader crowd is starting to align with them. If that is accurate, it is exactly how you get the feeling that the floor has been put in.
Well, again, during that period of time, you had massive ETF outflows. So what I saw was retail panicking and institutional providing that support, buffer, and foundation for that price not to go even lower. And now we're seeing retail returning. ETF inflows have been massive, 520 million or so over the last 7 days. And now we're seeing price respond accordingly.
That connects the dots between the chop and the rebound. In his telling, ETF outflows were a big reason price looked so miserable, and institutional demand helped keep the damage from getting worse. Then, as flows flipped and retail returned, price finally started responding in the direction that institutions had been expecting. That is why the current move can feel like a bottom-confirmed moment to people watching the tape. Now it's time to hear from you. But first, let's recap what this segment actually gave us. It pushed back on the idea that one geopolitical headline explains Bitcoin's move, then pointed to liquidity rebuilding, market makers adding risk, and retail sentiment catching up to institutional momentum. It framed Bitcoin alongside gold in a store of value trade, admitted volatility never truly disappears, and argued that institutions stayed committed even when retail was negative and ETF flows were ugly. Finally, it suggested that retail returning and ETF inflows turning positive is helping price respond, which is exactly the kind of setup people point to when they say the bottom is in.
So we used to talk about this concept of crypto skepticism. I think that's been replaced by crypto resentment in some ways. I think if you've been consistently, outwardly, and vocally negative on this asset class for 10 to 12 years, it's a bit embarrassing at this point. So I think the notion that is this real is sort of gone.
If the mood has really shifted from "this is fake" to "I missed it and I'm annoyed," do you think the next push higher comes from retail finally stepping back in, or from institutions quietly building while everyone else catches up in the comments down below?